Hello, welcome back to our second edition of our Faithful Fan Sports podcast. My name is Noah. I'll be hosting today, and I'm joined by Luke and Cole, two members of our Faithful Fans team. So we're going to kick off the show today with some NHL and NBA playoff predictions and previews. We'll start with the NHL since the field is set. So which high seed do you guys think is the highest chance of being upset in the first round of the NHL playoffs?
Go ahead, Cole. You can start.
I'm thinking possibly. Let me look here. Give me a second. I'd say it's not really an upset, but for the higher seed to lose to a lower seed, I would say the Islanders losing to the Penguins.
The Islanders, is that what you said?
Yeah, Islanders losing to the Penguins.
I like that pick, Cole. Because I think the Islanders have had a great regular season, but it's almost been a surprise regular season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was actually, full disclosure, I was literally going to say the same thing. Because I think with a team like the Penguins, you have championship pedigree on that team. I think they're honestly just a better team who just had a down regular season on their standards.
Yeah, and the Islanders, they don't really have, sure, they have Barzal, but he's kind of regressed this year, and they don't have really any, stud that's going to, get you that goal when you need it.
Yeah, I think I don't even know if that's really an upset. I guess technically it is with seeding, but as far as I'm concerned, that's not even really an upset. They only finished 3 points apart in the regular season.
Yeah, I have another upset for you. I think there's a real possibility the Sharks lose the Golden Knights first round.
That's what I was going to bring up.
Yeah.
And it's not because, Vegas is that good of a team. It's just they play well when they play the Sharks.
And goaltending matters.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, the Sharks are just a team that just can't get it done. Year after year, you see them just not do it. Just not do it in the playoffs.
Even
you have good regular season rosters every year.
Even if you take that out of account, Martin Jones' goals against average is almost 3 this year. I don't see that winning you a series in the playoffs, especially going against Marc-Andre Fleury.
Yeah, the Sharks have one of the worst goaltending in the league, and I think, like Servey said, the Sharks they always choke. They have all the talent. Past 2 seasons, they made big moves at the deadline to try to say, hey, we can win the cup, and they always choke. I think this is going to be a 7-game series. I think it's going to come down to a Game 7 in San Jose.
I mean, and they made a move at the deadline this year, and they went and they got Nyquist instead of addressing the goaltender situation. So, I mean, we'll see what happens there, but, I mean, I don't see it. I mean,
no, me neither.
I don't.
Vegas in that series, plain and simple.
Yeah, me too.
Agreed.
This one isn't necessarily an upset. It's a sort of a coin flip one. But what do you guys think about Jets Blues? Do you trust Binnington in the playoffs yet?
I think the Jets will win that series. But also, I don't see the Jets going far in the playoffs other than that series because I think the Jets have been a different team in the second half to me. They have not. They've come back. They've been a different team in the second half. That's a fact. So I think the Jets will win that series, but that'll probably be it for them. I don't see that. I would not put the Jets in the same category as the Flames or the or
Preds
or the other. Yeah, Preds. That's the team I was thinking. I wouldn't put them in that category.
The Winnipeg Jets, they were like a Stanley Cup favorites at the start of the year. I could see the Blues beat them. The Blues are one of the hottest teams in hockey. In January they had one of the worst records. And now
they had opposites. They had opposite seasons.
And if you look at their head-to-head, the last time they played was December 7th. So that was not the Blues team that we have now.
Yeah, that's crazy. Same division and haven't played in that long.
Animal.
Yeah, I agree. So I like the Jets in that series, but not after that. I don't like the Jets' chances of going far after that series.
I'll take the Blues in that series. I hate to go against you, but I really think they're hot. Getting hot at the right time.
Yeah, definitely could happen.
So this has definitely seemed like an Eastern Conference year in the NHL. I don't really see. So regardless, let's say, regardless of who comes out of the East, do you think that team would have to be a favorite over any team who comes out of the West?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. For sure.
I think so too.
No doubt about it. You would have to go through this, regardless, even if it's the Tampa Bay Lightning. If it's the Tampa Bay Lightning, they've had one of the best seasons in NHL history. And if it's not the Lightning, most likely that team's going to have to go through the Lightning, one of the best teams in NHL history.
Exactly. Listen. The East this year is an absolute gauntlet.
Yeah.
The Bruins, who have had a tremendous season,
600-point teams.
Point streak. You have the defending Stanley Cup champion, the Washington Capitals. You have the Lightning, who, like Cole mentioned, has had a historic regular season. And you can't sleep on the Penguins either. They've won 3 cups in the last 10 years. So it's not that. And the Leafs aren't bad either. The Leafs could upset the Bruins. I don't think it'll happen, but it could. They're not a bad team at all.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree.
Boston,
I think
Matthews and
whether you have Tampa Bay, Boston, Washington, even somehow Toronto, even if you matched any of those teams up against Calgary, I think they would still win the series.
I'm pretty sure.
I think. Go ahead, Cole.
I'm pretty sure 6 out of 8 of these teams in the East have at least 100 points.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, East has been unbelievable this year.
The Canadians had 96 points and missed the playoffs.
Yeah, East had a better year. East had a much better year than the West. No question. Not even a conversation to be had there.
All right. Any last NHL thoughts before we shift over to some NBA?
No, that's it for me.
I think, how about the Bruins-Leafs series? I think that's one that will go the distance. Game 7 in Boston, I think it'll come down to.
I agree.
I personally have Bruins in 6, but I think it'll be a hard-fought, man-to-man, like bodies all over the place, wild series. I think it'll be a good series.
I think ultimately it's going to come down to, I think, the Bruins' 3rd and 4th lines. I think, top 6, very comparable. I think the Leafs are a little better in the top 6, but it's going to come down to those guys in the 3rd, 4th line who can play better.
And also, Cole, it's the goalies. This is I cannot emphasize this enough to you, Cole. How big of a playoffs this is for Tuukka Rask's Bruins legacy. You want to be considering an all-time great in the best in Boston, a premier sports city. You have to win a championship as a starter, as a backup on the 11th team. If he could win it, he needs to show up this playoffs. He does. He just does.
Agreed. And I also
be huge in that series.
A make or break thing for the Maple Leafs is Freddie Anderson. He can get hot, and he can play as one of the best goalies in the NHL, but then he can just get cold. If he doesn't play well, the Bruins will be quick to pounce on him, and that series will be over real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, wrapping up the NHL, moving to the NBA. So we have some new faces returning to the NBA playoffs this spring. The Brooklyn Nets making their return to the playoffs for the first time since the 2014-15 season. The Orlando Magic returning to the playoffs for the first time since the 2011-12 season, leaving the last spot in the 8th seed for Detroit, Charlotte, and Miami. Who would it be most disappointing for of those 3 if they miss out on the playoffs?
I mean, that's a tough question to answer because I think out of those 3 teams, sentimentally, it would mean the most for Dwayne Wade for the Heat because you want Dwayne Wade to be in the playoffs in his last year in the league. He's been a winner his whole career. But to me, literally for the roster, there is no excuse for the Detroit Pistons to miss the playoffs. You have one of the best front courts in the NBA with Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond. You're 39-41. That's pathetic. With a decent NBA coach, that's unbelievable. That's pathetic. So my answer would be Pistons.
Yeah, going off that Pistons point, we were told all year last year. They've had so many excuses. First, it was Stan Van Gundy's fault. Wasn't coaching right, wasn't building a roster right. So he goes in, he tries to prove everybody wrong, and he gets Blake Griffin. It's a trade deadline last year. Then they get Blake Griffin. They still miss the playoffs. Say, oh, Blake Griffin was just getting ingratiated in our team. We'll be there next year. And on top of that, you run Van Gundy out of town and replace him with Dwayne Casey, who was the NBA Coach of the Year last year. He was the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference with Toronto last year. So you have a new coach, full season of Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond together. You still have Reggie Jackson, and here we are in your 2 games below 500 fighting for the last spot in the Eastern Conference playoffs below the Orlando Magic and the Brooklyn Nets.
And listen, Noah. I think they're going to get in because their last 2 games are against the Grizzlies and the Knicks. I like their chances in those games. But Noah, I don't even think they should be.
I mean, even if they do get in as an 8 seed, it's still disappointing.
But no, don't you think that I think I would, if I was a Milwaukee Bucks fan, out of the 3 teams that are on the bottom of the East, the Pistons, who I think will make it, then the Nets and the Magic, I'd want to play the Pistons the least.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Because that's the most formidable front court to stop Giannis out of those 3 teams.
Agreed.
And you don't have Chris Middleton.
Brogdon.
Middleton,
Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah.
Cole, go ahead. What's your input on this?
I agree. Detroit, that'll be a huge disappointment. Blake Griffin, he's had a tremendous year, and for that year to go to waste. And like you said, it's kind of a put-up, shut-up year for them. You know, there's no more excuses. You got to produce. And if they did make it with Drummond and Blake Griffin and the cast they have, and they lost out to a Miami team who, in my mind, is if Miami made it over them, for example, that's a starless team, really. Like, sure, Dwayne Wade, but Dwayne Wade's not what Dwayne Wade used to be.
No.
Like,
Eric Spoelstra is a hell of a coach.
And then
I think it might be Wade.
yeah, and then
you say who's the leading scorer?
Richardson, maybe?
Yeah, Josh Richardson.
He's hurt right now, so it doesn't help anyone. Keep going, Cole.
And then the Hornets, if you lost with them, I guess somewhat, Kemba's had a great year, but it's like the surrounding cast around Kemba is, I think, weaker than the surrounding cast around Blake Griffin.
Oh.
Honestly, I think the Hornets just messed up. I think if I'm a Hornets fan, I like your fight. The Hornets have hung in there just to be a game back now.
7-3 in their last 10.
Yeah, but no, the damage. It's too. It's gonna probably end up being too little, too late.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Pistons will. I think eventually Pistons will get that 8 seed, but I was just saying.
All right, guys, sister, do you see Walker coming back to the Hornets? Kevin?
No.
Do you, Cole? I don't.
I only see him coming back if the Knicks don't land a Kevin Durant. I could see him going to the Knicks. If Kyrie doesn't go there, I could see him going to the Knicks.
Yeah. He could be the Knicks' backup plan.
I don't know. I could possibly see him staying Charlotte. I feel like that's like when you think of that team, that's Kemba's team.
Yeah.
It depends on how bad he wants to win. If he wants to win right now, get out of Charlotte. But if he likes being the face of the franchise and wants to remain loyal, then I could see him staying there. But
let me put a proposition on the. Let me put a proposition on the table for you. If you're Kemba Walker, would you take a max deal to go play with the Lakers?
With the Lakers?
Yeah.
No, I would never want to. I would never want to. I wouldn't want to play with LeBron anymore.
Agreed. It's too much stress and too much scrutiny. You're always, it's never LeBron's fault.
But Kemba's.
No, I wouldn't have said this to you No. I wouldn't have said this to you 5 years ago about LeBron, but I think LeBron's lost it. He's a clown now. I respected LeBron on the Heat and the Cavs. He's had such an entitlement in LA, even worse than it was before. No. If I'm Kemba, I'd rather stay in Charlotte than play with LeBron.
But here's where I would intervene and ask you this question. Kemba Walker's made the playoffs once in, 8 or 9 years in Charlotte? Do you think he would go and do something different? He's never had expectations of winning. He's never experienced winning at all. You don't think it would lure him at all, the opportunity to play with LeBron in LA with Kuzma and Ingram, or if they package him, if they get Davis? Would your opinion change if the Lakers land Davis and LeBron and then sign Kemba?
It would change my opinion. What?
Would the likelihood of Kemba going to LA, would you change your opinion if the Lakers landed Anthony Davis?
If the Lakers can land Davis, would my opinion change?
Yes.
Yes, it would. Yes.
Yeah, mine would too. That's a whole different animal.
So Dwayne Wade likely has it's looking like he'll have 2 more games left in Miami. And we'll always remember him, obviously, as being a part of that big 3 in Miami. And do you think that he will be viewed the most fondly of that trio by Miami fans because it was there the longest? Or do you think that there will be an appreciation equal with Bosh and LeBron?
Yeah, I think he'll be viewed as Heat royalty because I think that was always his team, and he always was with that team, and he was just their guy. So I do think he'll be viewed as the favorite of that fan base.
Yeah, I think he'll be above them because you think about it, he played his whole career there. He was there for the 2006 championship.
Yeah.
He was there before the Big 3, and he's there after the Big 3. I think the loyalty shows to the franchise and how much he's meant to that franchise. I think it puts him way above them.
Would you say that he's the best Heat player of all time in their franchise's history?
Well, I mean, obviously LeBron's better, but LeBron
in regard to their Heat legacy.
Yeah, in that sense, yes. Obviously LeBron's better, but yeah. And honestly, I think Shaq's a better all-time player too, but Shaq didn't play there that long. So yes, in terms of their Heat legacy, yes, I would say Wade.
What about Alonzo Mourning?
I'd put Wade over him. Mourning was a great player, though. Nothing against him, but I'd put Wade over.
All right.
Agreed. I put Wade over too. The championships he's brought there and everything, I think surpasses him.
So we'll get into something a little bit more debatable or controversial here. NBA MVP. It's looking like it's between Giannis and Harden. Who do you guys got?
Go ahead, Cole.
I'm going with Harden. You take what he means to that team. You take Harden away from that Rockets team. No way they're a playoff team, I don't think. The injuries they dealt with, Clint Capella out for a lot of the season, Chris Paul out for a good portion of the season, and what they've overcome, and he's been the constant there that's keeping that team afloat and it's making them a legit contender. And looking like they could possibly, last year they came so close to being the Warriors.
They came a Chris Paul injury away.
The Rockets. The NBA final.
Yeah.
And I think
he
has them. Yeah, Game 6. He went down on that. And I think Harden has him in a similar position. I know this is for another discussion. I think that they could, if they ever had to play the Nuggets, I think they're a better team than the Nuggets. Then you look at Milwaukee. You look at Milwaukee, and Giannis is surrounded cast. Sure, he doesn't have, a bona fide superstar like Chris Paul with him. But like I said, Chris Paul was out a lot of season. But he's got, some nice pieces around him. Chris Middleton. He's got Eric Bledsoe. And there's some guys there that, can hold their own out there. They're not superstars, but they're quality players.
Luke, what are your thoughts?
I would definitely give it to Harden. I think James Harden has had a 2-year stretch that will go down in the history books. He was the most dominant player in the league this year. That 30-game point streak was unbelievable. I think they're both very valuable to their teams. It's tough to pick against Giannis, but I'd go with Harden just because of the pure dominance and consistency. But Giannis had that too. But I would just give a slight edge to Harden.
So if I had a vote, I agree with you guys. I would vote for Harden if I had a vote, but I think Giannis will win it.
Yeah, it's tough to get. It's tough to really get. Neither one of them is wrong, but I'd personally go with Harden, so I agree with you on that.
It's really hard to win back-to-back MVPs in any sport.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Even guys like LeBron and Trout haven't. Has LeBron ever won back-to-back MVPs?
I can look. The last person I remember in any sport winning back-to-back MVPs was Steph Curry.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough thing to do.
Yes, LeBron won back-to-back MVPs in 2009 and 2010, to answer your question.
Yeah, it's tough.
And then he went out back-to-back 2012, 2013.
Yeah, you're right. My bad. I didn't even see that. I don't know. We'll see.
All right. What do you got next up, Noah?
So we're going to shift into some college basketball here.
Okay.
Do you guys think it's a good thing for the NCAA that we have a Texas Tech-Virginia national championship game? Or do you think it's a bad thing?
No. Well, it's a horrible thing. I like it. I personally do not care. I would watch no matter who was in it. I can appreciate a team like Texas Tech. But the casual fan's going to be like, Texas Tech? Like, you know what I mean?
The style of play doesn't help either.
Final Four.
The style of play doesn't help either.
No, it really doesn't. It really doesn't, because I think the casual basketball fan does not want to see a 55 to 48 game. That's my pick for tonight. I got the Red Raiders over the Cavaliers, 55-48. Casual people don't want to watch that.
Cole, what are your thoughts?
I agree. It's like if you're a casual fan and you only watch the big games, you're going to see Texas Tech and Virginia. Sure, Virginia's a bit of a basketball blue blood, I guess, a little bit. But
have developed in recently.
I have to watch that game. Like it was a UNC Duke, like UNC Kentucky, like something like that. Some storied programs. Like people would definitely want to watch that. The rivalries are there. There's no rivalry between Texas Tech and Virginia. It's Big 12 and ACC.
I think
if Duke was, let me say this though, if Duke was in the national championship game this year, it would be a top 10 most watched sporting event of our lifetimes.
Yeah, I personally though, I love it. I love that it's two teams that generally aren't in it, haven't been in it. At least Virginia hasn't been in a while. I don't think Texas Tech's ever been in it.
Yes,
no.
I love that, and
I like it too.
It's not going to attract all attention. It doesn't have, like you said Duke would be top 10 watch. Like, it doesn't have that name Zion Williams. It doesn't have that R.J. Barrett. But it does have a very, I think, underrated player. Culliver, I believe his last name is, for Texas Tech.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's talking about this game like, oh, we're lacking superstars. There are two guys in this game who are going to be top 10 picks in the NBA draft in June. They're not from blue blood programs, but Jarrett Culver and DeAndre Hunter are both going to be top 10 picks in June.
Don't you think Hunter's been a little disappointing in this tournament?
Yes.
To me, he's underperformed.
Yes, but he's still going to be a lottery pick.
No, I agree. Just a sidebar. I think that he needs to assert himself tonight and attack the rim and realize that he's one of the best players on the floor, if not the best behind Culver.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't. Go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
So, do you think that? I mean, there's all this talk about the NCAA moving away from the one and dones. Do you think we're going to start seeing more national championship games like this, or do you think we're going to start seeing, the Dukes, Kentuckys, North Carolinas start realizing, not North Carolina because they're on a big one and done, but do you think we're going to start seeing the premier programs start to turn away from the one and dones and go more the Virginia, Texas Tech route?
I always say experience wins in March, and I think it holds true. I think you need a little bit of experience. I do. I think look at was it like on 2015 Duke?
Exactly. They still had.
Wasn't Quinn Cook a senior?
He was definitely an upperclassman, and so was Emil Jefferson.
Yes, see? So you had the one-and-dones like Okafor, but you had the experience with Quinn Cook, and you know what I mean?
Although
I think
even
is what wins in March.
Even if you go all the way back to that,
not to say that one and done.
Go ahead.
What are you saying?
Even if you go back to Kentucky's 2012 team,
teams can't win in March.
Even if you go back to Kentucky's 2012 team, Darius Miller, Deron Lamb, Marquise Teague, they were all upperclassmen on that team too, despite the Michael Kidd-Gilchrist and the Anthony Davis.
Yeah, you're right.
You need experience in March ultimately to win. Like, you look at all those talented Kentucky teams that were all freshmen. They never won a championship. You look at Duke this year, all mainly freshmen. They got knocked out. You also need some like upperclassmen to win games and score points in the clutch for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you. It's not that you can't win with one and dones, but I think you've seen Calipari lose big games in large part of not having that go-to guy experience down the stretch.
Yeah, for sure. So, moving towards...
What do you got next, Noah? Is that it? Or
no. Moving towards the coaching carousel in college basketball. So there have been rumors that surfaced today in regards to Tennessee coach Rick Barnes deciding between Tennessee and UCLA. Do you think Tennessee is a more desirable job than UCLA is right now?
Yes, absolutely. I would not want to coach at UCLA right now because it's a program stuck in the past. It's a program stuck in the past with a fan base that really honestly gave up.
No, they didn't. I disagree.
I think they gave up on that team right now. I think they gave up on that program a little bit. I do.
Then why are they moving to a new head coach?
I'm not saying that their fans don't care. I'm just saying they're a little distraught.
Cole, do you have any thoughts on this?
My thing is, I don't see why Rick Barnes would want to go to UCLA. It's taken him a while to finally break into college basketball. He bounced around, and he's finally found himself, I think, a good job. And he's built this program himself. Why leave something that you built? I don't see why he would dash from that.
Yeah, I agree.
It comes higher pressure, higher expectations, and ultimately, I don't think they would achieve those high expectations. I would just stay at Tennessee.
I agree. If I were Rick Barnes, I wouldn't leave Tennessee for UCLA, but it has nothing to do with Tennessee. Like, I don't think if he leaves Tennessee, I don't think they're making Sweet 16s year in and year out anymore.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. It's definitely going to be interesting. I think he's really struggling with the decision.
All right, one final topic for today. We're going to get some MLB in here. So the Red Sox and the Cubs, two of the premier franchises in the MLB, have both been off to some rough starts. Do you make anything of it? I know it's early, but at the end of the day, if both of these teams are in two of the best divisions in baseball, it's going to come down to a couple games. Do you really believe that these games don't matter?
No, it's not that they don't matter, but I still think the Red Sox will win the division. I didn't pick the Cubs to make the playoffs at the beginning of the year. So I'm not – I don't even know what to say about them because I never thought they'd make the playoffs. So the Red Sox, to me, they're gonna get it together. They have 6 games. Their next 6 games are against the Blue Jays and the Orioles. I think that's where you see reassert their dominance. Not worried about the Sox. Mm-hmm. Their starting pitching will come. It's too talented of a staff to struggle for a long time.
Go ahead, Cole. It's a small sample size. Sure, the games do matter, and maybe when it comes down to the end of the race, it might affect the wild card spot. They might have to play the wild card, but I really think it's just a small sample size. I know a lot of people point to it, but look at the Mariners. They're off to a hot start. I feel as if every year the Mariners always get off to a hot start, but they always end up choking. I don't think it's about how you start; it's about how you finish. So I think as long as the Sox, pick things up sooner than later, I think they'll be fine. Cubs, they were so hyped. They have so much talent on that team. Kind of been a disappointment, the past couple of years since they won that World Series. They haven't done too much, and they're kind of disappointed. I think they're more on a downtrend. I'd be a little more worried if I was a Cubs fan than a Sox fan.
All right, I got one last.
I never thought they'd make the playoffs. Go ahead, Noah.
So I have one last topic. I said the last one was the last one, but I really want to touch on this. So in recent days, there's been a social media back and forth beef, if you want to call it, between Antonio Brown and JuJu Smith-Schuster. If you were a Raiders fan, would you be worried about Antonio Brown still running his mouth about the Steelers? He's gone. He's gone from Pittsburgh. He doesn't have to talk about him. He's deliberately going out of his way to talk about them and create problems with it. If you were a Raiders fan, would you be worried about his involvement in the team?
I definitely would be. I would definitely, just because, get over it. Stop being a prima donna about it. That's the past. You're on a new team. Don't worry about what happened in the past. I think it's only hurting him. I think a lot of players are fed up with him, complaining, starting beef, saying this about Ben Roethlisberger, now going at JuJu. I wouldn't be surprised if players start trying to take little cheap shots on Antonio Brown. I think he's just hurting himself. I think he's just got to shut up and play, kind of.
That screenshot he shared today of the DM Schuster sent to him when he was in college. Why in his mind is that roasting Schuster? He was a kid that was looking up to a premier NFL wide receiver for help to improve his career. What? Why does Brown think that that's a bad look for Schuster? I don't get that. But from the Raiders aspect, I think he'll still perform on the field, so I'm not really worried about it. Could he have a problem in the locker room with other guys on the Raiders? Maybe.
My thing is, over the past couple of seasons, he's been the best receiver in the league. I think he'll be fine. I just think he needs to be a little, it's kind of a little immature to, be doing this with JuJu, Just get over it. Like I said, you're arguably the best player, best wide receiver in the league, and be confident in that and just go out and perform like you do.
Yeah, just needs to shut up and play.
I by and large agree with you guys. I would be worried if I were a Raiders fan because he's what he's doing is he's validating everything that was said about him in Pittsburgh. He came out and tried to make Mike Tomlin look like a villain, tried to make Ben Roethlisberger look like a villain, now he's trying to make JuJu Smith-Schuster look like a villain. But all he's doing is validating the people who were blaming everything on him. He's not making himself look better in any way.
No, it really isn't. I agree with that.
All right.
I think it's...
Go ahead.
No, I just think that he could definitely have problems with people in the locker room in Oakland. Because I think that he needs to always be the number one guy and the only guy. So I think he could have problems with guys in the locker room.
All right, this wraps up our final. Do you guys have any last thoughts you want to throw in here? Or?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good too.
All right, this wraps up our second edition of the Faithful Fan Sports Podcast. For those who are listening, we appreciate it. If you have any suggestions or topics you want to hear about, always feel free to reach out, and we look forward to working with you guys in the future.